We just walked out to the OJ's For the Love of Money, which is the theme song of The Apprentice, and that's connected to the fact that you know who has to pay money, 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 money. Something like $83 million.
83.3.
Oh, I'm sorry. $83.3 million.
All right, guys, so on our daily dose of Trump derangement syndrome in the liberal media, we have to talk about the cackling hens on The View, who, as you just saw there, they're so Trump deranged that they walked out to the theme song of The Apprentice in celebration of the ruling against Trump, in which he may or may not have to pay $83 million to equally Trump deranged E. Jean Carroll, after losing a rigged defamation trial against him because he denied the assault allegations that were levied against him by this woman. Again, I've never seen somebody get sued for defamation for saying, hey, I did not commit that crime, right? I didn't do that to this woman. And you get sued for defamation and they get $83 million, okay? Where is Tara Reid in her $83 million lawsuit against Joe Biden, right? I'm just saying, if that's the precedent that we're setting in this country. But regardless, that's not what this video is about. This video is actually about The View panicking over a potential third-party run, because you have Democrats like Joe Manchin, who recently came out and suggested that he could run third-party under the No Labels platform. Take a look.
West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin tells me he is considering running for president.
I'm open to whatever it takes to save the country.
Manchin has started a nationwide campaign called Americans Together. He wants to give moderates who are frustrated with extremes in both parties a new political home.
You might be my opponent, but you're not my enemy. You might have a different idea, but if we work together, we maybe can come up with a plan.
Manchin says today's politics have taken a turn for the worse and blames Donald Trump and President Biden.
Is there a way to get President Biden back towards the middle a little bit, where he came from? He's been pushed clear to the left.
As GOP presidential candidates focus on the South Carolina primary, Manchin says Nikki Haley should stay in the race and applauds her for taking on former President Trump.
And she's trying to bring him out into a public debate. I think that's all healthy.
Fellow West Virginian Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito doubts a third-party candidate could be successful.
I don't know what the end game is here. I don't know, he's been touted as being, some kind of a candidate or a brokered candidate for the president. I don't really see that happening.
Capito says she wishes her friend well.
It's always good to listen.
Manchin says he will let voters know more about his political future after Super Tuesday in March. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson.
Yeah, so you see now, you heard that, okay? What we may see here is Joe Manchin deciding to run for president as a third party because they know that Biden is going to lose. And one of the reasons why Nikki Haley is continuing to stay in the race is because I think that he is working on behalf of the establishment, who may be looking to ditch Joe Biden in clever ways. And one of the ways they can ditch Joe Biden is, again, to have somebody like Joe Manchin run No Labels and maybe have somebody like Nikki Haley run as a vice presidential running mate, because she's doing very well with independents, okay? Don't be surprised if that happens, okay? But in the meantime, we actually do have a third-party candidate in the race, and that is RFK Jr., who is thinking about running under the Libertarian Party so that he can get on the ballot in all 50 states.
Is it possible that you will seek, as you are running as an independent, you will seek still to be the Libertarian candidate, which would assure you getting on all 50 state ballots?
That's something that we're looking at. We have a really good relationship with Libertarian Party. I'm going to be speaking at the California Libertarian Party convention. I think it's next week or maybe a couple of weeks, and then we're talking about me speaking in New York. But so that is, and then we have our own political party now in 6 states, which have rules that make that give us an advantage to have our own political party. We're not going to have a problem getting on the ballot.
I ask you the question because Angela McArdle, the head of the Libertarian Party. Catherine, do we have the sound of this, by the way? Tell me quickly. Okay, I want to play something for the audience. This is the head of the Libertarian Party on my radio show in the fall. Roll it.
We've had a lot of good conversations, and we're on good terms. And I respect his decision to want to go independent. The Libertarians really admire the strong position he took against mandates and lockdowns. And so we're going to stay on friendly terms and see what happens.
Bobby, make some news. I mean, it sounded to me like she's welcoming you to come in and ask for their ballot position.
Yeah, well, we are talking to the Libertarian Party, and I feel very comfortable with most of the values of the Libertarian Party. And, you know, like I say, we have good relationships. I'm talking regularly to libertarian groups. So we'll continue to do those talks. I can't give you a headline news story today, Michael. I'm sorry. Ask about something different.
Okay.
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that, okay? RFK may or may not run under the Libertarian ticket, which would ensure that he's on the ballot in all 50 races, which would be a big deal because, like I told you guys from the beginning when he declared that he was going to go independent, that he's going to take more votes away from Joe Biden than Trump. And the reason is simple. It's because RFK is a Democrat, okay? And Trump has a base while Biden doesn't have a base, okay? The only reason people voted for Biden is not because they actually like Biden or they support Biden, okay? It's because they hate Trump, okay? That's where a lot of Biden support comes from. But the Trump derangement in 2024 is not going to be as strong as it was in 2020 because Trump's not in office. And Biden is probably one of the worst presidents that we've ever had, okay? So with that being said, when you look at the polls, RFK is polling pretty well, okay? In the RCP average, he's up to 19.3% with Trump up over Biden by 3.7 points. And for the most part, when RFK is in the race, he's taking away votes away from Biden, right? He's taking away more votes away from Biden than from Trump. And I imagine that if Joe Manchin got into the race, that would happen as well too. Because again, Trump has the strongest and largest base out of any of these people in the race. Even with a Joe Manchin or Nikki Haley getting in the race, more people getting in the race actually really helps Trump. It actually really increases the chance of Trump winning. And this is why the cackling hens on the View are panicking, because even though they are oddly ignoring the fact that RFK is in the race, okay, he is running third party, they know that a third party or more people that are in the race basically is going to take away votes from Joe Biden, because Joe Biden, he doesn't have any real support. And it's pretty hilarious to watch them have this Trump deranged meltdown over the fact that Joe Manchin could jump in the race. Again, Joe Manchin is a Democrat. So naturally, who is he going to take away votes away from? He's going to take more votes away from Democrats than he is from somebody like Trump. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Anyway, yesterday, while speaking with ABC's John Carl, California Governor Gavin Newsom expressed concerns that a third party could end up playing spoiler for Democrats and for President Joe Biden come November. Take a look.
I know a third-party candidate isn't likely to be elected president or beat either one, but I mean, how worried are you? Yeah, how worried are you about that?
I have to be worried. But you know what? You got to control the controllables. You got to control what you have to control. Right now, it's getting the vote out. Let's look at no labels. I actually took the time. I encourage people to look at what are they for? And I thought, wow, this is literally reads as the accomplishment list of the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand, no labels with Joe Manchin and Nikki Haley, right? That's probably what it will be. Who knows, okay? If they can't finagle Nikki Haley becoming a GOP nominee by taking Trump out of the race, that's probably where she'll go. Or you might have a Liz Cheney, right? You might have a Joe Manchin or Liz Cheney ticket or something like that. They're Democrats, right? That's what they're going to be, okay? They are straight up Democrats. So I want you guys to understand exactly the play here, what's happening.
So, are you concerned with the governor's concerns about
Yes.
a third party?
Yes.
Sorry, a third party?
I am very concerned. I mean, I talk to Joy about it all the time. This is her big thing. She always talks about Ralph Nader and how he was a spoiler. But I just learned today that when Jill Stein ran and it was Trump versus Hillary, there were 3 states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, where Stein's vote total exceeded Trump's margin of victory. So had she perhaps not been part of it, Hillary Clinton would have been president.
Yeah, and listen, I'm we're old enough to remember when Ross Perot was a spoiler for George Herbert Walker Bush. And in that case, that was 1996. And in that case, you had George Herbert Walker Bush, who's a sane, good, normal human being, running against Bill Clinton. He was a hoe, but he was a normal, good human being. In this case, you have got Joe Biden, a sane, decent, normal human being, running against a man who is an existential threat to democracy and to the foreign world, to the international world, to the universe. So,
wow. Again, the level of derangement here is just insane, right? Trump is a threat to the universe, right? Trump is a threat to the universe, okay? So all the space aliens out there that are allegedly flying around U.S. military bases, spying on our nukes, Trump, right, apparently is a threat to the universe, okay? So even the space aliens are probably working against Trump becoming president of the United States again. But it really is a damn shame that people like Ana Navarro will support Joe Biden, who under his presidency, we've had less world peace than we had in a long, long, long time, versus somebody like Trump, in which we've had the most world peace that we've had in a long time, okay? Again, it's just so funny to me how that works. Trump is such a big threat to the world, but yet when Trump left the office, the world fell apart. Again, it's amazing. Please explain to me how that works, Miss Ana Navarro. Please explain. Okay, if Trump is such a big threat to the world, I don't understand, why do you continue to call yourself a conservative? Why do you continue to call yourself a Republican? You're not a conservative. You're not a Republican. You are a Democrat. You're a liberal Democrat, right? Just embrace it, okay? Just embrace it. And this is not even me saying that from the perspective of trying to, not have an open mind about who can be a Republican or conservative. But at some point, if you don't agree with us on anything, right, at all, okay, and you're supporting the most extreme agendas in the Democrat Party, like the woke agenda when it comes to race and sex and gender and other issues, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I don't know how you can continue to have the label Republican or conservative. Okay, maybe you can have the label Republican because that's a political party. That's not necessarily a political ideology, but you can't have the label conservative, right? You're definitely not conservative. So why do you keep claiming that? I don't know why, okay? So again, I guess you can keep the label Republican, but definitely not conservative, okay? I'm just keeping it all the way 100. But again, the derangement here is insane, okay? It really is. It's off the charts.
this is not a normal, oh, you know what, we can afford to have a spoiler, we can afford to have Manchin running around. There's a lot of very credible people who we know who've left no labels now, including my husband, including Larry Hogan.
Liz Cheney left
the governor,
also, right?
I'm not sure Liz Cheney was ever no labels.
Okay,
no.
she wasn't?
No.
Okay.
I guess there are definitely concerns of the spoiler effect. I do think that this country is overdue for another option than just two political parties, but I think you have to think about how to do that the right way, that it doesn't boost the most unfit individual. My thing is this, is whenever this conversation comes up, it's almost like we're all tacitly acknowledging that Biden is weaker than Trump. That's what it sounds like to me, because if Trump is actually weaker in a general than Biden, wouldn't that mean that that we shouldn't be worried he's going to lose more votes?
No, because the people who support Trump are cult members, and they're not going anywhere. The people who support Biden are normal human beings.
To be honest, I don't think...
So again, what she's saying here, really, is that, well, Trump has stronger support. Trump has a larger base, and Biden doesn't have a base, right? Again, that it's funny how that works, okay? See, when Obama has a base of people that support him no matter what, that's not a cult. But when Trump has a base of people that support him no matter what, all of a sudden, you're in a cult. The problem is that Biden, his whole base is based off hating Trump, right? And so I would actually argue that Biden's base is in a cult because they literally voted for the man, not because they like him, but literally because they hate Trump. And those are the same people that are going to vote for Biden this time around. The only reason to vote for Biden that I can think of is your hatred for Trump, okay? Which would make you a cult, right? The hatred of Trump, thinking that he is literally a threat to the universe, okay? A universe that is infinitely big. That, in my opinion, it is cult-like behavior, right? That is cult-like thinking, okay? But again, see, that's how the cult works, right? Everybody's in the cult except the people that's actually in the cult, right? Like Ana Navarro, okay? The Trump derangement cult. So, Alyssa Farah Griffin here is actually going to make a decent point, a rare decent point from her, somebody that I also am questioning why in the world does she continue to use the label of Republican or conservative.
I think 40 million Americans are cult members. I think
Thank you, Alyssa.
there's a lot lot of people who can close their nose, they don't pay attention to the 24-hour news cycle, and they're like, yeah, but you know what, the economy was better. If you're watching Fox News, you have no idea about the E. Jean Carroll
If he's
defamation
indicted
suit.
91 times and his poll numbers keep going up and he keeps running away with primaries, I think it's concerning. Listen, we all heard him boast on tape in 2016 about grabbing a woman, about sexually assaulting a woman, and Republicans still voted for him blindly.
And 53% of them were women.
This is not the time for a third party. Change comes very slowly in this country, as we know, watching the history that has unfolded here, good and bad. It takes time. We are a bipartisan situation right now. There is not a runway to bring in a third, although, Alyssa, I do concede, the polls show people are not super psyched about the candidates in general right now, but there is no room to swap it out, although I'm all on board for a split ticket third party going forward after this election. I would love that.
You know, amazing how they don't mention RFK, right? RFK is in the race. Like, he is a declared third-party candidate. Like, he is going to run independent. Now, again, whether or not he's going to run in the Libertarian ticket or some other party ticket, who knows? But he's in the race. The fact that he's not mentioned in this conversation really does tell you what the agenda is here from the media, right? The agenda quite literally is to try to make it seem like RFK doesn't exist and that there is no third option when there is a third option. And the reason why they don't want people to know there's a third option is because they know that the third option is pulling away votes from Biden. Now, best believe, if the polls were showing that RFK was going to take away votes from Trump, they would be talking about RFK, right? They would be essentially promoting RFK and letting you know, yeah, RFK is in the race, okay? If he was taking away more votes from Trump than Biden, but the fact that RFK is taking away more votes from Biden than Trump, this is why they're trying to pretend like he's not in the race. And they're coming out here and they're passionate about the fact that, oh, no third party should run. Don't run, okay? Please don't run, because we know that Biden's weak, right? Biden's base support, he doesn't have any, okay? Again, it's amazing how that works. Joe Manchin is a Democrat. RFK is a Democrat. And again, if they hop in a race, they're going to take away votes from the Democrat, Joe Biden. I mean, it's really that simple.
Let me say this again. Polls do not make an election. Polls lie, because Hillary Clinton would have been president if the polls had been correct.
Hey, but look, here's the thing, though. Again, you got to acknowledge that some of these polls probably did not account for the fact that Jill Stein was in the race. In the sense that, yeah, I mean, in these, key swing states where Jill Stein polled well enough to take away votes from Hillary, that's hard to predict, right? It is super hard for any poll to capture the effect of a third party, especially when you're talking about at the swing state level, okay? But consistently across the board, when you're looking at RFK and him polling, he consistently takes away votes away from Biden rather than Trump. And that is true across essentially all the polls, regardless of which states. But again, it's extremely hard to predict exactly what's going to happen at a state-by-state level, especially with RFK polling so well. I mean, this guy is getting about 20% of the vote when he is involved in the poll. So again, this is something to watch here.
Do not trust the polls. Trust what you know. The man said recently, on day one, I'm gonna be a dictator.
Sure did.
The fact that the phrase dictator came out of his mouth
And
as an
very easily,
American
too.
citizen in this country should turn your stomach.
Yeah.
It should turn your stomach. So that's the decision. That's the decision everybody has to make. You want a dictatorship even on day one or at all? Or you want to fight it out like Americans do and try to get...
You know what I love about this? I love how they're just so overtly pro-Biden, right? And they're begging and pleading for people to vote for Joe Biden. And the polls are not moving in their direction at all, right? All the Trump derangement, all the attacks against Trump, all the political persecutions, all of that stuff is only making Trump stronger. And again, stuff like this, when you have Whoopi literally begging for people not to vote for Trump, it just makes people want to vote for Trump even more, right? So again, this is absolutely hilarious to see the mainstream liberal media continue their Trump deranged meltdowns over the fact that the inevitable is happening. Trump is winning, and he's getting stronger and stronger and stronger despite the attacks against him. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.